What's up, Facebook? Um, just kind of want to get something off my chest today. Earlier today, I had a discussion with a friend of mine on Facebook who posted a picture, and the picture was of Donald Trump, and he was honoring a fallen police officer. He had her grandmother on stage, 90-year-old woman, and based on the photo opportunity, my friend posted the picture stating, I don't see any racism here because based on that picture, he was able to conclude that the president cannot be racist because if so, he wouldn't have this lady on stage. And after going back and forth and having discussions, a friend of mine chimed in and we kind of all were having you know, a conversation about it. It made me think about uh, a paper I wrote when I was in grad school. So this is like 2002. My paper was titled The Effects of Mass Media on African American Culture. And now this is way before social media, before Facebook. But I was just trying to come up with something to write about. And I had always been fascinated by black films, historical films. And in doing my research, I found that we were always portrayed as crooks, criminals, prostitutes, servants throughout cinematography, throughout history in film. And if we weren't portrayed that way, we were uh, we were so helpless that white people had to come in and save us. For example, if you ever saw Mississippi Burning, the FBI came in and did the investigation into the murders of the Freedom Riders, Amistad. I mean, the list goes on. All these films, we were portrayed in a light that was not our own. We didn't shine that light on us. So I wanted to dig a little deeper. And so what I did was I researched and found out about this film that came out in 1915. I learned about it in college at BC years before that. But the film is called Birth of a Nation. And if you know anything about it, you know what I'm about to say. And if you don't, I'll give you a little history about the movie. Birth of a Nation became a popular film based on a book called The Klansman. And in this film, the Klan is considered heroes. They come in and save the day. They have black characters being hoodlums and attempting to rape a white woman. And it's all based on right after the 15th Amendment, the Reconstruction era. We are, getting our rights to vote. This is based on that time period. And so in this film, we are portrayed as hoodlums, and even has a scene where black people, black characters, are on the Senate and they're eating watermelon and chicken and just being lazy and falling asleep. I mean, that's what's being portrayed in this movie. This is 1915. This movie grossed $2 million. I know it may not seem like a lot compared to 2018, but at that time, bread cost a nickel. So if a film can gross $2 million in 1915, how many people had to go see that movie? And what's even more shocking about this film is that it was shown to the president at the time, Woodrow Wilson. And he had a private showing at the White House. And after watching the movie, and I quote, this is what he says: "It's like writing history with lightning. My only regret is that it is so very true." This came from the president. Now, if the president is saying this about a film that shows black people as being hoodlums, rapists, coons, all those things, and it came from the president that is an accurate depiction of black people in America, what do you think the people who saw it thought about black people in America at that time? Well, I'll tell you. The KKK membership went up. Violence against black people went up after watching that film. I'm add some more history to you to the film. It was a silent movie. So how could that film bring about those emotions? And it's a silent film. And another thing that's shocking about this movie is all the actors were white. So even the black characters in the movie were in blackface. Let me repeat that. The white characters, the black characters in the movie were white actors in blackface acting like how they thought black people act. Well, after the film was released, it scared white America. It scared them so much that if you're a producer who wanted to make movies after that, you could not portray black people in a positive light because it would contradict everything that they just saw in this high grossing film. And of course, any producer or director who's making movies wants to get paid. So you couldn't show us as being thespians and professional actors and talented people. You wouldn't make any money. So every film after that, Gone with the Wind, I could name them all. We did not receive any positive roles. And so fast forward to the 60s and 70s, you got these black exploitation films with pimps, with hustlers. And the sad part about being portrayed in those movies is that we start to believe that's how we're supposed to act. Us as black people. We believe we should be pimps and hustlers and gangsters. We actually take those roles and we try to mimic how we would be if I was a pimp, I would do just like the Mac was. Say so. And then in the 80s, how many films came out where black people died within the first 15 minutes? If the black actor didn't die within the first 15 minutes, he was the evil person and he was going to die in the end. So all these things were happening. And that's why when Black Panther came out, it was so popular because black people finally said it's about damn time. They showed us in a positive light. Intelligent, sexy, beautiful warriors, all those things that we saw in the film had nothing to do with the Panther itself. I could care less about the Panther. It had everything to do with the fact that we are finally being portrayed as who we really are. So now back to that picture. If one picture was enough to conclude that the president could not be racist because he had this black woman on stage, imagine what they were thinking about us in film in 1915, in 1920s, 30s. Imagine that. And what brought this about is because, there are some people who believe that blacks are now racist because we complain about racism all the time. And I thought, man, if they think that about us, what did they think about us for real back then, 100 plus years ago? So I said that to say this, when you post these memes on Facebook that have to do with a racial divide, keep in mind, people like me, I don't buy into that. You got to come harder than that. You got to really tap into my intellect for me to respond. But be careful. Be careful because the same things that they're posting about black people, the script can be flipped at any given time. But I guess a picture does, speak 1,000 words, especially when it's one photo, one president, one old lady versus a 3-hour film, silent film that showed black people as being nothing but coons and monkeys. And so I just had to get it off my chest. Hope everybody has a nice evening. I'm out.